The first emergency call came at exactly 14:07 station time. The second came 12 seconds later, by 14:10. Medical teams were running through the corridors. By 14:12, security drones were in the air. By 14:15, one entire section of Harmony Station was under temporary lockdown. And by 14:20, millions of beings across the galaxy were watching live broadcasts of the disaster. The cause of the emergency. Not a pirate attack, not a reactor failure, not an alien invasion. A cub. A very small cub. A very curious cub. A very curious cub who had just eaten his first spoonful of human spicy food, and somehow things only got worse from there. His name was Riku. He belonged to the Valori species. Valori cubs were known for being energetic, playful, friendly, and occasionally troublesome. Riku was all four. The problem was that Riku possessed one quality far stronger than the others: curiosity. The kind of curiosity that asks questions nobody else asks. The kind of curiosity that opens doors clearly marked. Do not open. The kind of curiosity that turns ordinary afternoons into station-wide incidents. The maintenance workers knew him. The security officers knew him. The cafeteria staff definitely knew him. One officer once joked that Riku should have his own emergency alarm. Nobody laughed when that joke became reality. Harmony Station orbited a peaceful star at the edge of explored space. Thousands of travelers passed through every day. Merchants, scientists, explorers, tourists. The station was famous for bringing different species together. If you wanted to learn about another civilization, Harmony Station was the perfect place. And every year, the station hosted a cultural exchange festival. Species from every corner of the galaxy gathered to share traditions, music, art, stories, technology, and wellology. And food, especially food was always the biggest attraction. Visitors loved trying dishes from worlds they had never seen. Most species approached food carefully. Recipes were designed for safety. Ingredients were regulated. Flavors remained balanced. Nobody wanted accidental poisonings during a festival. Then humans arrived, and every safety officer immediately developed a headache. Humans were already famous across the galaxy. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the smartest, not because they possessed advanced technology. Humans were famous because they constantly did things that seemed completely unreasonable. They climbed mountains because the mountains existed. They jumped out of aircraft for fun. They raced vehicles at dangerous speeds. And perhaps most confusing of all, they willingly ate food that caused pain. Scientists had spent years studying this behavior. The reports made very little sense. One paper described spicy food as a chemical attack voluntarily experienced for pleasure. Another called it controlled suffering. A third scientist simply wrote, "I give up." Humans framed that report and hung it on a wall. 3 days after the festival began, Riku discovered the human food pavilion. The moment he entered the area, he knew something was different. The smells were incredible. Warm bread, roasted meat, sweet desserts, fresh, herbs-rich sauces. The air itself seemed alive. Crowds filled every corridor. Visitors from dozens of species stood in long lines, waiting to try human food. Some loved it, some hated it. Everyone talked about it. Riku wanted to know why. He spent hours exploring the pavilion. He tried pancakes. He tried pizza. He tried chocolate. He tried ice cream. Every dish was different. Every dish surprised him. Every dish made him ask more questions. Eventually, those questions led him toward a large crowd gathered around one particular cafeteria. People whispered nervously. Others watched from a safe distance. Some were recording videos. Riku squeezed through the crowd. His ears perked up. What happened? Nobody answered immediately. Finally, a tall alien scientist pointed toward the kitchen. The humans are preparing something dangerous. Riku's eyes widened. Dangerous? Now, he was interested. Inside the kitchen stood a human chef named Marcus. He was stirring a giant red pot. Steam rose into the air. The smell was unlike anything Riku had encountered before. It smelled delicious. It smelled exciting. It smelled slightly threatening. "What is it?" Riku asked. Marcus smiled. "Chili." "What's chili?" The chef laughed. "A human dish." Riku looked at the pot. "Doesn't look dangerous." Several nearby aliens began laughing nervously. One scientist muttered, "That's exactly what makes it dangerous." Marcus tasted the chili, then added another handful of red peppers. The crowd gasped. Security officer slowly backed away. Riku noticed. "Why is everyone scared?" The officer looked at him. "Because those peppers contain enough spice to make most species cry." Riku blinked. "Why would anyone eat that?" The human chef answered immediately. "Because it's delicious." That explanation only created more questions. For the next 20 minutes, Riku watched humans eat bowl after bowl of chili. They smiled. They laughed. They asked for extra spice. One human even complained that the food was not hot enough. The cub could not understand it. How could something painful also be enjoyable? The mystery bothered him, and when a mystery bothered Riku, he needed an answer. There was only one solution. He had to try it himself, unfortunately. Nobody realized what he was planning by the time. Marcus noticed the spoon in Riku's hand. It was already too late. The entire cafeteria froze. Conversations stopped. Music stopped. Even the kitchen staff stopped moving. Hundreds of eyes followed the spoon. Riku scooped up a generous portion of chili. The steam rose around his face. The smell was powerful. The crowd held its breath. Scientist quietly opened a medical emergency channel. "Just in case." Riku smiled and took a bite. Nothing happened for 3 seconds. Everything seemed fine. Then disaster arrived. His eyes widened. His ears shot straight upward. His fur expanded into a giant, fluffy ball. The spoon fell from his hand. His face turned bright blue, then purple, then orange, then red. The crowd panicked instantly. Someone screamed. Someone fainted. Medical teams received 600 emergency messages in less than a minute. Then came the moment nobody would ever forget. Riku opened his mouth. A tiny flame popped out. The cafeteria exploded into chaos. Security alarms activated. Emergency lights flashed red. Drones rushed into the room. News reporters appeared almost immediately across the station. Confused visitors checked their communicators. Nobody understood what was happening. Inside the cafeteria, things became even stranger. The spice had triggered a rare reaction inside Riku's body. His species naturally generated bioelectric energy. Normally, this energy remained harmless, but combined with the intense spice, something unexpected happened. Tiny sparks danced through his fur. Small flames flickered around his mouth. Glowing footprints appeared behind him as he ran, and he was definitely running very fast. Around tables, around chairs, around terrified scientists. "My tongue is trying to escape," shouted. "I can taste colors." Another tiny flame escaped his mouth. Half the room screamed. The humans laughed so hard they could barely stand. Then, suddenly as it began, the reaction stopped. Riku slowed down. The sparks disappeared. The flames vanished. The burning sensation faded. Silence filled the room. Everyone waited. The cub looked around, then looked at the bowl, then looked at Marcus. The chef smiled nervously. "How do you feel?" Riku considered the question carefully. The entire station waited for his answer. Finally, he smiled. It was amazing. The room went silent. A scientist dropped his tablet. A security officer sat down. Someone whispered, "Oh no," because they all realized the same thing. Riku liked it. And if Riku liked it, he was absolutely going to do it again. They had no idea how right they were. Over the next few weeks, the curious cub would challenge the hottest foods in the galaxy, break multiple scientific theories, become an interstellar celebrity, and accidentally start the largest spicy food competition in galactic history. But that is another story.